Good afternoon to everyone. This is actually the second time I was invited to come before the club, and the first time was a great pleasure for me, and of course today represents a special occasion as well. I'd like to bring greetings on behalf of my many colleagues across the Southern University system. Again, I'm grateful for the institution. As many of you know, Southern University is the only historically black system of higher education in America. We are comprised of 5 campuses, which make us rather unique. The New Orleans campus is at one time we considered a commuter campus, but it's unique from the standpoint that it hosts a number of non-traditional students who are in effect pursuing undergraduate and graduate education. So our urban campus in New Orleans, the Shreveport campus is a 2-year campus, and again, one that really kind of specializes in healthcare professions and really bring those opportunities for students in Northwest Louisiana to enjoy very marketable careers upon graduation, even with a 2-year degree. The Law Center continues to be recognized here in Baton Rouge as one of the most diverse institutions of higher education as relates to the advancement of legal education. And our Agriculture and Extension Center, it has a presence across 52 parishes in this state and continues to provide extension opportunities, youth opportunities, serving as many as 700 youth each summer across the state of Louisiana. And of course, our Baton Rouge campus, the flagship campus within the Southern University system, one that offers both undergraduate, graduate, and opportunities to really provide for traditional students an opportunity to grow as leaders. You know, together, we describe ourselves with this mantra, we are Southern, we are Southern. But indeed, Southern University is known nationally as an institution who have been instrumental in shaping the African American middle class of America. So what I want to talk to you about a little bit today is how we are actually trying to push out a new strategic plan for the Southern University system, and particularly Baton Rouge. We are actually calling this plan Imagine 20,000, and we are asking our stakeholders to consider the time on the horizon when Southern University Baton Rouge will host 20,000 students. We don't consider that to be a pipe dream. And we are shaping a strategy, if you will, that would bring that about. First, and it's pretty much threefold or multifaceted. The first thing we hope to do is be guided by experts. And ever so recently, we have engaged a number of stakeholders nationally. We asked them to participate in what we are calling a Futures Commission and asked them to provide us guidance as it relates to those variables that are impacting higher education today, but more importantly, that will impact higher education in the future, and provide with us an opportunity to do some critical thinking to make sure that the Southern University system is well positioned going forth. Already through that interaction, we have asked the Gallup poll to really do a survey that took a critical look at the academic inventory at Southern University Baton Rouge, with the aim of telling us, upon review of our academic inventory, which programs are appropriately aligned to serve the stakeholders of this state and nationally. And so our aim going forth, as buffered by the faculty and staff of the SUBR campus, as informed rather by the faculty and staff of SUBR, will be to align our programs such that they fit the 4- and 5-star profiles that speak to the needs of the state of Louisiana. And we are in the process of doing that now, and actually think that will represent an opportunity for students to glean the kind of opportunities that would ultimately attract them to SUBR. And when I say 4- and 5-star jobs, I also want to just clarify that we want to nevertheless stay true to our mission. And so some programs nonetheless will be a part of Southern nonetheless. Teacher education, for example, and where there is a decline, even at Southern, for those students who are pursuing undergraduate educational opportunities in the Department of Ed, we believe that those type of programs define Southern University. And in fact, at Southern University in New Orleans, they were just a recipient of a grant program that would enable them to prepare teachers to teach in STEM disciplines. So we're going to look at this holistically, look at online delivery of instruction as a platform of helping us grow the university, and again, tailor inventory of degree programs that we think will be appealing to students who are taking a look at sustainable careers going forth, but also that serves to fill those voids that business and industry are representing as needs in the state. The second thing that we're interested in is building or ensuring that we have an environment that's conducive to learning. And so we're right now shaping a facilities master plan that speaks to our aim of developing a strategy for capital improvements and building new buildings and infrastructure that align with the information we're getting back from our stakeholders internally and externally. But that also means making sure that students are exposed to a stimulating environment outside of the classroom. And so more recently, Southern University, and we're going to implement it this fall, we developed what we're calling the Freshman Academy. And the Freshman Academy is really guided by the aim of taking students where they are, providing them with whatever supplemental instruction that is necessary to ensure that they're going to be successful. It's about selecting and recruiting faculty members who are interested in teaching first-time freshmen and really providing those wraparound services that we believe will be effective in making sure that we retain our retention goals and that students do indeed matriculate in a timely manner toward graduation. We're looking at energy conservation strategies that have the promise of really transforming our campuses and providing for us the needed infrastructure to ensure that we have lighting, ensure that we have internal controls, ensuring that the classrooms are those that represent an environment that we think would support learning. And then lastly, and I said this the last time I was here, we are putting some teeth into the notion that we have an obligation to advance economic development here in our respective communities. Right now, we are literally working with some stakeholders, if you will, and trying to shape some partnerships that would enable us to have some move in an aggressive way an agenda for North Baton Rouge. We are also soliciting a law center, for example, who's engaged with agencies to bring clean water to our communities. I do believe that Southern University has an obligation, if you will, to drive economic development, and you're going to see a greater presence here in Baton Rouge and on our other campuses where we're going to try to push the agenda such that we could really make a difference, if you will, beyond the boundaries of our respective campuses. You know, all of this, of course, is in many ways contingent upon stable funding. And you know, I was before the Appropriations Committee, I believe it was last week, and I really saluted the legislators and the governor in particular for their diligence in providing support to higher education, particularly in this fiscally challenging environment. But I also encouraged them at the time that we need, as a higher education community, a community that in and of itself drives economic development, stable funding over time. You know, last year was the first time, and I want to say 9 years, probably closer to 10, when we were not subject to a reduction in funding for higher education. The first time in 10 years that we were not subject to either a mid-year or a cut that began our fiscal year. And I can tell you, my colleagues and I, we literally celebrated. We literally celebrated not an increase in revenue, but just stable funding. And just that 1 year provides us so much momentum going forth. I can tell you on 3 of our campuses, on 3 of our campuses, all 3 enjoyed increased enrollment. On the New Orleans campus, their enrollment of first-time freshmen grew by 40%. On the Baton Rouge campus, we recruited first-time freshmen that increased that number by 20%. And our overall enrollment grew not significantly, but by 2 or just short of 3%. And we're turning the corner. We saw evidence that as relates to retention on all of our campuses, that also grew substantially on both the Baton Rouge and the New Orleans campus. So we feel good about the direction we're going in, and with, if you will, with this strategic plan that we hope to guide us by, that the momentum is in our favor, but stable funding is a reality that is critical for higher education. I suggested to the committee last week that we have to get a handle on this on mandated costs. And we argued as a university community that higher education is probably unique as the only institution that has to really contribute, the only agency, rather, that has to bear the cost of mandated costs. For the Southern University system, that cost represents 77 cents on the dollar. So for every dollar we collect, we have to pay back 77 cents. And that varies per institution. For the SUBR campus, for every dollar we collect, we have to pay back 99 cents. I want you to think about that for a moment. For every dollar we collect, we have to return to the state at 99 cents. So there's no such thing then as a standstill budget. But what we have argued, for the most part, that just give us a glimpse of relief that would at least allow us to manage our resources. And I think we can demonstrate that we're good stewards of those dollars to which we ultimately command. I don't know how much more time I have left. But I close on this because you hear me, and I want to kind of clarify. Just want to clarify a couple of things, as I did last week before the committee, because I do think that Southern University has been unduly impacted by these budget reductions. All institutions in the state of Louisiana over the last 10 years have had to respond to reoccurring budget reductions. But Southern campuses also had to respond to the implementation of a policy that spoke to the implementation of emission standards. And so we're unique in a sense. Not only then did we have to respond to budget reductions, but we also had to respond to a significant decline in enrollment based on the implementation of emission standards. Different. And that wreaked havoc on Southern University. And so to say that we are rebuilding now, where we are in fact adopting policies, that we have people that are listening to us in terms of recognizing the needs and the contributions of Southern University, that's important to us. And we certainly want to establish this platform such that we will continue to be able to contribute to the stakeholders of this state. So I'll stop there and answer any questions that you may have. Yes. Yes, good seeing you.
Drill down on a bit for us on the mandated cost. Is that like the UAL of the retirement systems and things like that? Can you give us a brief explanation of that?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Can I drill down a little bit more on the mandated costs that higher education institutions are subject to in the state of Louisiana? If you look at the total costs that higher education have to absorb, it goes over $600,000, $621,000 that we have to return to the state, and it does cover things like teacher retirement, group insurance, supporting other agencies of the state, if you will. And so so let me just kind of give you an overview of those costs as it pertains to each system. The UL system, 97%. And you're finding that some campuses are returning more than they're receiving. And so we are asking that the state assume that cost. We know it's not going to happen overnight, but clearly managing those costs that increase every year has a significant impact on how we are able to manage our resources. Yes?
Is that, following up on that, is that a return of general fund monies or or is it, what do you actually exist on? Is that tuition?
The question is, it a return on state general fund? It is a return on state general fund dollars. And that's what we're limited it to. And so so for whatever dollars that we're receiving from the state general fund, in terms of total appropriations, then we're returning that back.
Dr. Ray,
Yes.
do you have any plans to get money from international students to come over here and pay for your renovations and expansion and dreams and schemes?
Oh, sure. So we have always welcomed hosting international students, particularly at the Baton Rouge campus and New Orleans campus, and continue to actively recruit international students. I think there was some decline in our international students based on national policies this year, but that remains a continual focus to us. Ever so recently, we have really been trying to shape online opportunities that enable us to embrace international populations even more so without the benefit of them being on our campuses. Yes.
I'm familiar with Dean Andrews and his business school, and
Yes.
I'm sending the students internationally each year. But you also have an urban forestry program there. Could you
Yes.
elaborate on that?
Well, the urban forestry program is housed within the College of Agriculture at this point. It remains one of the more unique programs nationally. I think it's ranked, and I think our program is probably ranked certainly within the top 5 programs nationally. It continues to enjoy a considerable population at the graduate level. We're trying to increase population at the undergraduate level such that we could ensure that we have a strong feeder program. But it is one of those unique programs to which we believe we need to invest. So what I have said publicly, and I stand by, and that is that Southern University can't be everything to everyone. We need to literally invest strategically in those programs that define Southern University. The College of Business, Dean Andrews and Professor Ash, who are with us today, they do an exceptional job of providing for the stakeholders of this state professions that are sustainable and that have market value to those who ultimately attain those degrees. I think the university has to be critical in looking at programs such as the urban forestry program, recognizing its value, investing in those programs, again, providing students with sustainable careers that have the potential of supporting them and their families for years to come. Any other questions? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
The research project you mentioned, Gallup,
Yes.
is that a piece of customized research, or is that something Gallup does for lots of people?
No, the Gallup survey that was commissioned, the question was it customized or is it something that they just do routinely? And the answer is it was customized. We asked that they do that, starting with the Baton Rouge campus. We gave them a snapshot of our academic inventory. We provide for them data points, and we actually were working with the Louisiana Workforce Commission, the Office of Economic Development. They collected data points that enabled the Gallup to inform us about what is marketable, what would represent a 4 or 5 star potential, what may be some opportunities going forth to establish new programs that align and respond to the needs of the state. And so we commissioned them, and they have most recently released that publication that speaks to those opportunities on the Baton Rouge campus. We hope to do the same thing in New Orleans and in Shreveport. Yes?
You mentioned the negative impact when admission standards first went into play. So to what do you attribute the increase in enrollment of the campuses this year?
Well, I think we're doing a more of a better job of really targeting, doing a better job of targeting students, trying to strategically shape our scholarship opportunities in such a way as we hopefully have a balance in the number of students that we don't leave any students behind. We're toying with a conditional admissions policy that provides us with a little bit more of flexibility in being able to attract students who have traditionally been our base. HBCUs across the country, very few have restrictive admissions policies. They have preferred admissions policies, and quite frankly, we can't compete with those institutions who have such flexibility. As you may be aware, HBCUs, they were defined based on the premise of offering access and known for their ability to develop wraparound services that ensure student success. We think that we need to do both. We need to continue to provide access, but we need stable funding to ensure that we have the wraparound services that really define our institutions, and then be as well recruiting high-performing students who we know will who we'll be able to retain over time.
Do your enrollment still have do you have a large number of first-generation college students?
We continue to have a number of proportionately a great number of first-time, first-generational students attending our institutions. Yes?
In light of school shootings and campus safety, what have you guys done lately to ensure safety of students on campus?
Well, I could tell you, we've gone about reviewing every aspect of the campus, shaping committees who are active, who meet, I want to say, I know once a month, but more frequently, to really bring forth some good practices, some thoughts, reacting to what's happening across the campus to ensure that our campus is safe and one to whom we are comfortable in knowing that we have the infrastructure to support students while they reside on campus. So we're we're investing a lot. And we're asking every day, what can we do to get better and ensuring that we have a safe and accommodating campus.